National Smile Month product per day with Growing Smiles today are powered toothbrushes, and we're going to look at the who, what, where, when and why. So why use power and who needs to use it? So who might consider using electric toothbrush? They have evolved over the last 35 years. The bottom line is you need to use something that is going to be appropriate for your individual needs and what you want, what you can afford. Some people do not like the sensation of an electric toothbrush, and that's fine. They just need to be effective with their manual toothbrush. So everyone who struggles to really obtain and maintain an effective level of control of their plaque biofilm in their mouth. And it's always, as I say, always got to be based on your individual needs and what you want and what you can afford. But generally those who struggle with a manual toothbrush, so that might be somebody who's having orthodontic treatment, you're having maybe a complex restorative work, or so maybe a lot of crown and bridge work, certainly implant therapy, all that sort of stuff is far easier to keep clean with the powered toothbrush. Anybody that's a very aggressive brusher, so you're scrubbing away and maybe been doing damage and getting sensitivity around your gum margins, and your dentist has suggested, your hygienist has suggested, listen, you're causing damage to the hard tissues, or you're damaging the gum tissues. Again, powered toothbrush is actually better, because if you go to put too much pressure on them, they stop working actually, or they give you a warning signal depending on which one you're using. Also, for anybody that has limited dexterity or is disabled, because they have very large handles, they're much easier to grip, and if you're cleaning for somebody else, this actually might be a very handy thing to consider. But then you've got to also balance that out with the weight, because some of these brushes are actually quite heavy, and if you're holding your arm up with an electric toothbrush for 2 minutes, that's quite a lot of effort. So anybody that's considered unable to brush for whatever reason, as I say, parent caregiver might be able to find an electric toothbrush much easier to use. Okay, so what actually are these? I say they've evolved an awful lot. The early electric toothbrushes really tried to mimic the motion of a manual toothbrush, so they sort of wiggled and vibrated the same way as a manual toothbrush have. They have now evolved quite dramatically, particularly over the last 10-15 years, and powered toothbrushes move at a speed and motion that actually disrupts the plaque biofilm, and you just cannot replicate that with a manual toothbrush. So there's a variety of motions that are available. Some of them are rotational, some of them are counter-rotational. You get oscillating, you get pulsating, you get twist movement, side-to-side movement, you get a combination of all of the above, more or less. Oscillating, rotating, you've got a sonic, ultrasonic. So, you know, there's a huge range of toothbrushes there. The most common ones that you will come across, whatever brand you like, will be an oscillating, rotating one like this. And if you can see the oscillating, rotating, and it pulsates as well. Okay, so many of these oscillate and rotate at about anywhere between 8 and 10,000 rotations a minute and 40,000 pulsations a minute, or 45,000 pulsations, depending on which one you're looking at. So that's quite a powerful movement, and there's no way a manual toothbrush can replicate that. With a sonic toothbrush, this has a movement that is actually brush stroke, almost like mini brush strokes, and that can be up to about 31,000 brush strokes a minute. So these are a very, very effective and efficient way of disrupting and breaking down the plaque biofilm. What you've got to consider is the speed. So they come from a lower speed to a higher speed. Generally, battery powered ones will be a much slower speed, and obviously you start to lose power as soon as you start to use them. So rechargeable brushes are always preferable. Those are always the ones that you're looking for. And the brush head designs, again, vary. You can see with these ones here, there's just so many shapes and sizes of the brush heads. Some of them will have bristles at up and down, that they'll have long bristles and short bristles. Some of them are round, some of them are oval, some of them have two lengths of bristles, sometimes they're multi-leveled. So there's so many different variations on electric toothbrushes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how these actually disrupt the biofilm, because the important thing is that you're actually breaking down the plaque biofilm around where the gum and the tooth meet, that little crevice, and that's a bit that can be quite difficult. Now if I can do this right, you will see how this actually disrupts the plaque biofilm. So you can see how the oscillating, pulsating, rotating brush head is actually just breaking that down. You see that? So that's the rotating, pulsating brush. Now let's see how the sonic brush goes with this. Let's again see if I can get this in place. Let me get it in place. And again, you can see those little beads there breaking up, and that is very much how this actually disrupts the plaque biofilm. So, how are you going to use it? Well, most important thing is do your interdental cleaning first. So floss, use your interdental brushes, whatever you use to clean in between, because your toothbrush is not going to reach there. Okay, pea-sized blob of toothpaste on a dry toothbrush head. Okay, do not turn it on until it is inside your mouth, otherwise you're going to get a lot of splatter and it's going to make an awful lot of mess. So what you want to do is place the bristles up around where the gum and the tooth meet, and literally just turn the toothbrush on. And you need to take the time on every surface of every tooth. Be methodical. Outside, the inside, the bits you bite on. And the bristle movement of the brush actually does the work for you and actually breaks down the plaque biofilm. Okay, so pea-sized blob of paste. Spread it all around your teeth first, and then brush every surface of every tooth, and then remember to spit out afterwards, but don't rinse. Let the toothpaste stay around your teeth. Okay, angle the toothbrush as is necessary to get in around those little difficult nooks and crannies. So you may well find in behind these front teeth, use your toothbrush the long narrow way. It's much easier than trying to get in this way. Likewise, pretend this is the lower teeth. Again, make sure you need to angle your toothbrush to get it right down around where the gum and the tooth meet. Okay, sometimes when you're brushing the inside of your upper teeth, that can actually get quite tickly, and there's a wee bit of mind over matter on that. But really important to take your time, watch what you're doing in the mirror, make sure you're not missing any surfaces. So you want to be accurate, you want to be methodical. You will find that there's a range of different heads for these electric toothbrushes. So some of them will have like this, there's like a little polishing cup in this, which is something fairly similar to what you might find when you get your teeth cleaned at the dentist. This is a little interspace tip, which is really handy if you've got an orthodontic appliance, but this will only fit on one brand. So as I say, you need to know what's available on each of your bristles. This is a child sonic head. Now when you compare that with the adult sonic head, you can see that it is much smaller, and the bristles are also shorter. Okay, likewise with the kids round head, again the head's smaller and the bristles are slightly shorter, as they should. I can get that accurately. I think they are slightly shorter there to fit in a child's mouth. So as I say, you've got a variation of heads there. So when are you going to use it? You're going to use it last thing at night and one other time in the day, or as advised by your dental professional, depending on what your personal circumstances are. When you've finished brushing, rinse out. Don't rinse the toothbrush head out under running water, and then nip the bristles together and let it dry out of contact with anybody else's toothbrush, so that you're not transferring any bacteria. If you are immunocompromised or if you've been unwell, that is a good time to change your toothbrush, particularly if you've been hospitalised. It's a good time to change your toothbrush head after that. Really important when the toothbrush bristles start to splay out. That is when the toothbrush head needs to be changed. I know a lot of people that use an electric toothbrush and never replace the head, and it's not going to be doing the job very well. So you can have a great powerful charge, but with the toothbrush bristles splayed in 5 different directions, it's not going to be doing the job very well. So when you're going to buy an electric toothbrush, you've got lots of things that you need to consider. You've got to think of the size, the weight, your personal circumstances, the number of heads that are available, the cost, the timer. Nearly all the electric toothbrushes now come with a quad timer, which tells you to move on each quadrant of your mouth, and tends to be a 2-minute timer. Look also at the charging mode. Some of the charging systems are different. Some of them you can set them in a glass, some of them you have to connect them to a wall charger, so that might be an issue. How long does it hold its charge for? Some of these brushes can hold their charge up for 21 days. So if you work away from home, for instance, that might be an important issue. Look at the movement. Most popular ones, you've got that sonic movement, which is more like a manual toothbrush vibrating, or a pulsating, rotating toothbrush head, which again, try and see which one suits you better. I often will come along and put them in the back of people's hands and say, how does that feel? Some people will like that. Some people will prefer that. As I say, it's a very, very personal choice. So if you get an opportunity to do that, I say look for the pressure sensor. If you've been told you scrub your teeth, look for one with a pressure sensor. I came across a really good website called electricteeth.co.uk. So if you want lots of information, somebody who's gone away and done all their homework on the comparison of various electric toothbrushes, have a wee look at that, because it actually was very, very interesting to have a look at. So why would you want to use an electric toothbrush? Well, there's no doubt about it. The evidence indicates power is better when it's used properly. A lot of people get an electric toothbrush and automatically use it like a manual toothbrush, and that is not how you use it. It's actually, I always say it's quite boring to brush your teeth with an electric toothbrush, because you just set it in place and let it do the work. But if you start to do this, you sort of make that pulsating, rotating movement actually ineffective. So no doubt about it, science says an oscillating, rotating power toothbrush will remove more plaque than a manual toothbrush in the same hand. I have clients that manage far better with a sonic brush than they do with an oscillating, rotating brush, and vice versa. So it's a very personal thing. The bottom line is every one of us have to do enough to keep our mouth healthy without doing any damage to the hard or soft tissues. And that means if you find an electric toothbrush, generally will do it better, but you've got to be very, very patient and take your time and develop a whole new skill, because most of us, our default setting was how we brushed our teeth as a child, and often as we become adults, that is not appropriate anymore. So if in any doubt, this is always best on a one-to-one basis with your hygienist, with your dentist. So go in, ask, and if you've got any queries, come to us at Growing Smiles, because that's what we're here for. We're here to help you to have a healthier smile. So there you go, National Smile Month product per day with Growing Smiles. Today are electric toothbrushes.